Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. On behalf of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Iskcon Phoenix, and our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, we welcome you to today's program. As you can see, we have a very special program today. We are very fortunate to have the association of a very nice devotee, senior devotee, senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada, His Holiness Niranjana Swami. He took initiation from Srila Prabhupada back in 1974 in Boston, Massachusetts, after seriously reading and studying the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. And he's been traveling ever since he took sannyas in 1986. He took sannyas in 1986, and ever since he's been traveling mostly in Russia, at that time the USSR, so not a very easy preaching. Eastern Europe. He's been a very important figure right now in helping devotees in Ukraine with the fighting situation over there. So he's been a key instrument in helping the devotees over there. So he's usually, again, Eastern Europe, India, Asia. So very rarely he comes on this side of the world. So we are really happy, very blessed to have his association today. So thank you all for coming, and without let me give you Niranjana Swami. Hare Krishna. This is going to be a very good opportunity to probably silence your cell phones, and you may want to put them in a recording mode. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Iskcon Phoenix, Namachaya Shri Haridas Thakur, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyamakanda Bhakti Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki, Bhagavati Mayapur Dham Ki, Ganga Mahi Ki, Yamuna Mahi Ki, Tulsi Devi Ki, Mukti Devi Ki, Sankirtan Devi Ki, Harinam Sankirtan Ki, Samaveta Bhakti Glory to the Son of Moses, glory to the Son of Moses, glory to the Son of Moses. All glories to Shri Shri Guru Namo Vishnu Krishna 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 Namaste Saraswati Very happy to be here with all of you today. Thank you for coming, giving me this opportunity to share a few words with all of you on Srila Prabhupada's teachings. I think this is the first time. Is it the first time? No, I spoke once before. I've spoken here. I don't come, as Shyamani Devidasi said, I don't visit America so often. And although I do usually come at least once a year, I'm usually on the East Coast, so this is an unusual visit for me. But I'm very happy to be here. And we'll see what Krishna arranges for future visits, and I'm sure somehow or other I'll make it here again. I don't know when. I don't know when. And after you hear my lecture, you'll probably want to wait a while anyways. So I was going to read a verse from Bhagavad Gita, since it's sitting here. And I picked chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized, verse 66. I'll read the Sanskrit and the translation and purport. Nasti buddhya ayuktasya nacha yuktasya bhavana na cha bhavyata shantir ashantasya kutam sukam. Translation: one who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there can be no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? Purport: unless one is in Krishna consciousness, there is no possibility of peace. So it is confirmed in the 5th chapter, 529, that when one understands that Krishna is the only enjoyer of all the good results of sacrifice and penance, that he is the proprietor of all universal manifestations, that he is the real friend of all living entities, then only can one have real peace. Therefore, if one is not in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be a final goal for the mind. Disturbance is due to want of an ultimate goal, and when one is certain that Krishna is the enjoyer, proprietor, and friend of everyone and everything, then one can, with a steady mind, bring about peace. Therefore, one who is engaged without a relationship with Krishna is certainly always in distress and is without peace, however much he may make a show of peace and spiritual advancement in life. Krishna consciousness is a self-manifested, peaceful condition which can be achieved only in relationship with Krishna. Translation again. One who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? Om Ajnanatimamandasya Viranjana Sarakaya Chakshur Unmenitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Okam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Mangaya Tavagari Yat Vipatamaham Mangaya Shri Gurave Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Niyabhishesha Shanyavani Pastajani Sitani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One second, I just have to take a look. This is the important verse spoken by Krishna. Important because I like to say it's relevant to most people. Something that seems to be very elusive in people's lives, but very much sought after is peace. Elusive because as much as we try to obtain it, and even when they capture it temporarily, we can't keep it from it goes away. And here, Krishna gives the criteria, necessary criteria for one, and Srila Prabhupada definitely, in his commentary, leaves no doubt that unless one is connected with the Supreme, connected with Krishna, he can have either a transcendental intelligence or a steady mind without which there's no possibility of peace. How can there be happiness without peace? So, establishing a connection with Krishna is something which obviously has to be achieved and be understood from this verse if one actually wants to experience real peace. Prabhupada would oftentimes quote the verse, Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ataye Shanta. Mukti Sivikami Sakari Ashanta. You may recognize the word Shanta, Shanti, peace. Krishna Bhakta Nishkama. The devotee of Lord Krishna is Nishkama, is desireless. Atayeva Shanta. Therefore he can be peaceful. Whereas those who are bhaktis, those who want material enjoyment, those who are muktis, those who are seeking after liberation or peace, siddhis, those who are after mystic yogic perfections. Mukti, mukti, siddhi, kami. Kami means they still have some lusty desires. Sakali ashanta. Therefore, ashanta. They can't be peaceful. Srila Prabhupada explains here in the commentary, he says that if one is not in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be a final goal for the mind. In other words, there cannot be a state or consciousness or a final goal which upon having achieved is, okay, that's it, nothing else, I'm satisfied. But unless one is in Krishna consciousness, there can be no final goal, because bhaktis, they want enjoyment. And the consequences of enjoyment are generally that it gives some temporary pleasure, but after temporary pleasure there's pain or suffering. Muktis, even those who get liberation, Bhagavatam states, Auriya Krishchena Param Padam Tata Padanti Dumnadu Usmarangareya. Lord Brahma explains his prayers to Krishna He said that although persons may perform severe austerities and penances to achieve the highest position, their intelligences are pure, and they fall down from their position of imagined superiority because they fail to take shelter at Krishna's lotus feet. He says, such persons, they may perform severe austerities and penances to detach themselves, to become completely detached from this world. But he actually describes vimuktamaninas, which means they think themselves liberated. But actually they're not completely liberated. Because only complete liberation is that liberation which gives one permanent shelter at Krishna's lotus feet. Why is that complete liberation? Because Krishna Bhakta Nishkama. Because the devotee of Lord Krishna, he's desireless. Therefore, he can be peaceful. Well, what does desirelessness mean? Because actually, as we know, in fact, I was just explaining this to, I think it was to Divya last night, that desire is the symptom of life. It's the very symptom. You can't eradicate it. There's always desire. It's the symptom of the living being is desire. So how can the living being, who by nature has desires, be desireless? The bhaktis, they desire sense enjoyment. Muktis, they desire freedom from suffering. They want peace. Siddhis, they desire mystic yoga perfections. And therefore, verse states, they're kami. They're still selfish. They're still selfish. They still have selfish desires. Because even the person who wants peace, he's selfish. I want to be peaceful. And because even that desire to be peaceful may gradually bring about some temporary state of peacefulness, peacefulness is not simply freedom from distress. It's more. For a living being who's eternal, which is the symptom of life, eternality, very basic teaching what Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita. Dehi nosmin yata dehi kumaram joganam jara. Body and soul continually passes his body from boyhood to youth to old age. Soul passes into another body at the time of death. Dhira tatra samuyat. The one who's dhira, one who's self-realized, he's not bewildered. Not bewildered, he's peaceful. He understands that actually there's more to life than simply becoming free from the physical body. More to life, actually, real liberation is described. Liberation means to become liberated both from the physical body and from the subtle body. But Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that just as the air carries aromas from one place to the next, then the living entity carries its different conceptions of life from one body to the next. So, as long as there's desire, unfulfilled desires, no final goal. As long as there's unfulfilled desires, one has to come back and accept another body in an attempt to fulfill those desires. So, the muktis, they may obtain liberation by severe austerities and penances. They think themselves liberated, but Lord Brahma says, Avarugya Krishtrina Param Padam Tata Patantita Nasmata Yudhinanandriya. They fall down from that position of imagined superiority. They can't stay there. It's not a permanent situation. They fall down because they haven't made the connection. They fail to take shelter at Krishna's lotus feet. They didn't make the connection. Therefore, Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Atayeva Shanta, the devotee's desirelessness is not that he eradicates all desires. But the desirelessness of a devotee is that he understands that desire is a symptom of life. I have to learn how to fulfill my desires by satisfying Krishna's desires. Vajaniya parama sukha matra susukha. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Jiva Goswami says, to the degree that Krishna is pleased by our activities, we become happy. To the degree that he's pleased. But to the degree that we think first of our pleasure, then there's no final goal, because the self cannot be satisfied. Savai Pungsam. When the sages of Naimisharanya gathered to hear from Sutta Goswami, they asked, what is the highest occupational duty for all mankind? Savai Pungsam Paro Dhammo, the Paro Dhammo, the highest Dhamma for all living beings, is that by which man can attain to loving devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted in order to satisfy the self. That's the criteria. Must be unmotivated, free from all motivations. Just like Rupa Goswami also says, Anya Balashita Shunam Gyanakanabhinavita Anukuliyema Krishna Shilana Bhakti Uttanam. Says the devotional service has to be free from the desires for karma and jnana. That is the symptom, the primary symptom. It's not only is it freed from karma and jnana, but it's also that it's aimed primarily, it's exclusively for Krishna's pleasure, to please Krishna favorably as Krishna desires. That's the criteria he gives of loving devotional service. So, therefore, when the sages of Naimisharanya asked that question, Sutta Goswami responded by saying, the Paro Dhamma, the highest Dhamma, activity, by which man can attain loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord, and with unmotivated and uninterrupted. And then the self can become satisfied. Self-satisfaction. Arjuna asked Krishna the question, what is this man? What is the symptoms of a man who is in transcendental consciousness? Krishna says, when a man finds satisfaction in self alone, gives up all desires for sense gratification which arises from mental concoction, and he finds satisfaction in the self alone, and then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. Self-satisfied. But what is self-satisfaction? Somebody hears self-satisfaction, immediately think selfishness. But what is self-satisfaction only comes when one realizes who I am. Who am I? Sanatana Goswami taught by example. When he went to Lord Chaitanya, he said, Kayami, who am I? Please tell me. Why do I have to suffer the threefold miseries of life? Please tell me, who am I? He wanted to know. Jivera Swarupa Krishna Vichadas. Lord Chaitanya told him that the living entity is the eternal servant of Krishna. Constitutionally, his nature is to serve Krishna. So, making the connection, this is, of course, a challenge. This is usually where, when we hear these things, tendencies to switch off and think, wait a minute. I've heard this before. It sounds so easy, just make a connection with Krishna. I've tried, failed. Of course, Krishna says, Deha Karunashasti, Bhattakayana Vichate. Was it? Swalpam Pyasya Dhammasachayate Mahato Bhagavad. In this endeavor, there's no loss of diminution. A little advancement in this path protects one from the most dangerous type of fear. No. So, making that connection with Krishna, just like in the Srimad Bhagavatam, when Lord Krishna revealed to Brahma in the essential shlokas of Srimad Bhagavatam, he told Lord Brahma, he said, oh Brahma, whatever you see of any value, if it has no connection with me, then you should know it's my illusory energy, that reflection which appears in the darkness. So Krishna is telling Brahma, essentially, says, if you see anything and you think it's valuable, but you can't see that it's connected to me, why is it valuable? It's actually my Maya. It's my illusory energy. Well, why do you think it's valuable? Because it's connected to me. We don't see it's valuable. We don't see it's valuable because it's connected to Krishna. We think it's valuable because it's connected to me. And therefore we think, oh yeah, because it's connected to me, therefore I will appreciate its value. But the Lord says that if you see something of value, you think it's valuable, but you can't see how it's connected to me, then it's an illusion. Just like the reflection that appears in the darkness. The reflection and darkness are both dependent upon the substance, which is light. Right? Without light, there could be no reflection, and darkness is simply when the light is covered. It's both have a relationship with light, the sun. Prabhupada used to give the example that as long as we're facing the sun, everything is bright. But when we turn our backs to the sun, we see our shadow. Because the shadow doesn't exist between ourselves and the sun. It's behind us. If you want to see darkness, you have to turn away. But as long as one is facing the light, Krishna, who is, of course, as he says, I destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness of born of ignorance. I am seated within their heart, within everyone's heart. Out of compassion to them, I who am dwelling within their hearts, I destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Desham satatam yuktanam bhajatam bhutipurvaka dadami buddhi yogatam idamam upayantite. To those who are constantly devoted and worshiping with love, I give them the understanding in which they can come to me. So Krishna is the source of all knowledge, the source of all light. And as long as we face the Lord, then Prabhupada would oftentimes quote that verse, Krishna Surya Sam Maya Haya Andhakara. Yaham Krishna Tayamaya Mayada Adhikara. That Krishna is like the sunshine, Maya is like darkness. Wherever there is sunshine, can't be any darkness. Similarly, as soon as one takes to Krishna consciousness, immediately the darkness of illusion, of the influence of the external energy, the material energy, will vanish. Maya has to always stand behind. She always stands behind. Whenever Krishna is present, she has to be in the background. She won't come up front. If we invite Krishna into our lives, Maya stands in the background. But if we don't, because just as the sun dissipates the darkness by its presence, in the same way Krishna consciousness dissipates illusion. It dissipates the illusion, the misidentification with the body, with the self, and with selfish desires. Krishna helps. Krishna, he removes the obstacles on the path of devotional service. It is Krishna who within the heart destroys the ignorance within the heart and reveals himself to the devotee. And he says, Ananyas chintaya tomam yejanapaya pashante tesham nitya yogakshema vahamyam. To those who are always endeavoring to think about me, meditating upon me, that for them, whatever they lack, I carry for them. And whatever they have, I preserve. I will help. I will help. The devotee is never alone. That is the difference between the devotee and the impersonalist who perform severe austerities. They think, by my own strength, by the strength of my knowledge, my intelligence, by my strength of my mental speculation, I will become liberated. But the devotee, he never thinks by my own strength. Krishna says, Yogi nama pisavisham vatkitantanatra kate patenantaratmana. He says, The highest yogi, he's one who always abides with me in great faith, worshiping him in devotional service. I consider him to be the highest of all. He's connected, intimately connected with me, Krishna says. Why? Because he depends on me. He doesn't depend on his own ability. He depends on me. And because he depends on me, I give him the understanding. I dissipate the darkness of illusion. To the degree we depend on Krishna, to that degree Krishna says, and all activities just depend upon me. Work under my protection, such devotional service. Be conscious of me. If you're conscious of me, you cross over all the obstacles of conditional life by my grace. But if you don't act in such consciousness, out of false ego, not hearing me, you'll be lost. You'll be lost. Not hearing me. Krishna makes himself accessible to help us. Makes himself accessible in his name. Makes himself accessible in the teachings of his teachings. Wherever the devotees are discussing his glories, Krishna told Arjuna, he says, Naham tishtami vaikunte yoginam vidhi yeshuva tatra tishtami narada yatra gayanti madbhakta. He says, oh Narada, you go to the Vaikuntha planets and look for me? I'm not there. Nor you will find me in the hearts of yogis. You want to find me? You go to the place where my devotees are discussing my glories. That's where I am. That's where I go. I'm attracted to those places. He comes. He makes himself accessible through sound vibration. The discussion of his transcendental names, form, qualities, pastimes, and his teachings of Bhagavad Gita. He manifests himself. What? To help us, to dissipate the darkness and illusion within our hearts. And to the degree that we take shelter of transcendental topics, that's how we make a connection. Shrinvata svakata krishna punya shavana kirtanam hridakyasto yavanam evidanoti suhitsatam. That Sri Krishna, who's the super soul in the heart of all living beings, he cleanses desires for material enjoyment within the heart of that person who develops the urge to hear his messages, which are themselves virtuous when they're properly heard and chanted. Krishna acts from within the heart. He cleanses, he takes it away. How do we make a connection? We just simply have to go on and endeavor to hear. And sometimes our minds, because we're filled with all these desires, we start thinking, I can't give so much time to hearing it. Or sometimes we become even afraid that if I hear about Krishna, if Krishna's going to take away all the attachments within the heart, then Krishna, when I'm not looking, he might take something away. And therefore I have to protect what's there in my heart, and I can't hear it. I can't hear it because I'm holding on. But Krishna's saying, don't worry. Don't worry, I'll help you. I'll give you the strength. You think that's what you need. That's what you need to hold on to. But Krishna's so kind. He gives, he helps. He gives the strength by which one can actually make progress in life. And attachments, we see there, become so insignificant because Krishna gives us support and helps us. We simply have to make the endeavor to go on and hear and hear and hear. That is all. That's how to make the connection. That's the most important principle for making a connection with the Supreme. If we neglect it, then it's very hard to feel connected. It's not some mechanical process connecting with Krishna. It's not that we can force the mind. Sometimes people ask, my mind, when I go to work or so, I have so many things I have to do, so many things I have to think about during the day. I can't think about Krishna all the time. It's too much. It's too much. There are too many other important things to think about. How to think about Krishna? Krishna. What is that verse? Namam kamam vipati nama kama palesmiya iti mam yobijanati kama vyana sabhajite. Krishna says, There's no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. Anyone who knows this truth about me will also not become entangled in the fruit of the actions of work. So Krishna is explaining in this verse a little bit about himself. He says that I am completely transcendental. There's no work that affects me, nor do I become entangled in any reactions to work. And there's nothing he has to do. Natasya karyam karanam chavijite, natasya masapshabjitatasya tradishite, varasya shaktiya vividhaya vishuyite, sabhavaki jnananala kvicha. The Krishna is nothing for him to do. There's no one to be equal to him. There's no one who is greater than him. And he doesn't have to do anything because everything happens very naturally and systematically by his multifarious energies. He doesn't do anything. Krishna simply enjoys. That's all. Anything else has to be done. Krishna doesn't have to. If he wants to create a universe, Krishna doesn't have to go to Home Depot, buy all the materials. He's self-sufficient. Not only does he have to do it, all those energies do it for him. He doesn't have to become entangled in all these activities. And he says that anyone who knows this truth about me, anyone who knows that all I do is simply enjoy, and I don't become entangled in the fruitless reactions of work, just by knowing that, one will not also become not entangled in the fruit of reactions of work. Just by knowing. Why? Prabhupada explains here in this verse why. Because one who knows Krishna as the supreme proprietor, supreme enjoyer, right? He becomes peaceful. He has a final goal for the mind. He knows that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, that I'm